Morning, everybody. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding the portion of Vayishlach. We are holding on chapter 34, verse number 1. Teitze Dina bas Leah. The daughter of Dina, then Dina, the daughter of Leah, went out to Sheyolda Yaakov, that it was born to Yaakov. Lida is b'bnais aretz, to go out and see the girls of the city. Now she says, Bas Leah. Why does it say the daughter of Leah? Bas Yaakov. Isn't it the daughter of Jacob? However, it's because of her going out that she is called the daughter of Leah. For she too had a propensity for going out. And it says Leah went out. Regarding her, they formulate the proverb like mother, like daughter. So she had it in her DNA to go out. That's why Yaakov Avinu put her in the box before Esau came. Shechem ben Chamer, and Shechem the son of Chamer saw her. Achivi was a Chivite. The Nasi Aretz, who was the head of the land, and he took her. He raped her, and he abused her. Now she said, Yishka Kedarke, the natural way of relationship. He abused her in an unusual manner. When he fell, he became attached to Dina, to Jacob's daughter Dina, the daughter of Yaakov. And he loved this girl. And he spoke to the heart of the girl. Now she says, what does that mean? The words appealing to her heart. See how much money your father spent on a small parcel of land. If you marry me, I'll be a machaya. I'll take care of you. And we'll have the whole field and be able to acquire the city and all the fields. So why wouldn't you want to why wouldn't you want to marry me? Yep. So Shechem said to his father Chamer, Lema, you should give me this young, and will try to help me out. I want to marry this girl. Yaakov Shama Kitime, as Dina Bita. Yaakov heard that they defiled his daughter. But his sons were in the field with the sheep. And Yaakov kept it quiet until they came. Meanwhile, Shechem, the father of Chamer, came. Yaakov to Yaakov. Yaakov was out of the city. The Dabarite to speak to him. When Yaakov and the sons of Yaakov came back from the field, and when they heard what happened, and the men were aggrieved very deeply. He committed an outrage of happening in the Jewish nation. Lishka was back Yaakov to rape the daughter of Yaakov. And such a thing is considered even socially an illegal act. To violate girls. Even nations of the world restrict themselves from immoral relations as a result of the flood. So even though she's a single girl, but this is something that is prohibited. The people of the world have taken upon themselves that you don't do such kind of things. The father said to the entire group, he doesn't want to rape her. He didn't want to just rape her. He wants to have a relationship with her. He wants to marry her. He should give her as a wife. He desires. Not only that, we'll become one big happy family. You'll intermarry with us. You'll give us your daughters, and we'll take our daughters for yourself. We'll become one happy family. Not only that, you'll live over here. And this whole land will be for you. Shuva Sechru, you'll come, you'll settle here, you'll trade here. You'll acquire holdings here. So what's wrong? Let's become one beautiful family. And not only that, and Shechem said to her father, and the brothers, let me find favor in your eyes. I'm a good pick. Whatever you say as a dowry, I'll give. Go ahead, demand upon me exceedingly money, whatever you want, and I'll give it to you. What you say. But give me the capability to marry this girl. Mahar means a marriage context, suba. Verse 13, Yaakov so Yaakov's sons replied to Shechem and his father Chamer, and they spoke cunningly. And they spoke. Why they speak cunningly? Because he had defiled. He's not even. He wants to marry her. He's not even accepting the responsibility that he raped her. She says, for defiled, tells us that it's not considered deceit for a defiled sister. We have to talk to you. First, you have to take responsibility of what you did. Guy's not taking responsibility. So therefore, this is not even trying to deceive you. You're simply an evil person. That you should do such a thing and not take responsibility for what you have done. And he said to them, we have one problem. It's a great idea, but we got one issue. We cannot do this. We cannot give our daughter, our sister, in marriage because you are uncircumcised. By us, an uncircumcised individual. That is disgrace to us. We circumcise our sons. You're not circumcised. You can't marry her. Actually, the cherpa is a taint of disqualification among us. One who wishes to insult his fellow, he says, you are uncircumcised. Or the son of one who's uncircumcised. It's a cherpa, it's an insult. So you want to make, not only that, you want to make one big happy family. We're all going to be married together. We're going to move here. We're going to be one big happy family. Then everybody, every male, whoever wants to be part of this family needs to circumcise. We're willing to agree with you if the same root to be circumcised. And once we do that, then we can give our daughters to you. And we'll take your daughters. We'll be one happy family. And we'll move here. But we'll become one single nation. That's what you want to do. We'll do that. She says, and take your daughters for ourselves. We find a stipulation that Chamer proposed to Yaakov. And in response, Yaakov's sons to Chamer, that they grant preeminent to Jacob's sons, that they could take whoever they could choose amongst the daughters of Shechem and give their own daughters to the men of Shechem at their discretion. As it's written, we will give our daughters at our discretion. And your daughters will take yourselves according to whatever we wish. When Chamer and the son, Shechem, spoke to the inhabitants of the city, they reversed it. They said, we'll take their daughters as wives, and we will give our daughters to them. So to convince them, so that he put when they spoke to them, that's why they lied in essence. When they spoke to Yaakov, they said, you'll do whatever you want. Then they spoke to the sons of the people of Shem, they'll say, you'll do whatever you want. So they were only trying to be able to accomplish this mission that he would be able to marry her. But if you did not heed to circumcise, we'll take our daughter, and we will go. Verse 18, and And this term was acceptable. The words were acceptable in the eyes of Chamer, Ubein Shechem, in the eyes of Shechem, the son of Chamer. And this guy was excited. And he went right away. Basically, he was the most respected person in his father's household. And he said, we got to do it right now. Gather the people, and we're going to all circumcise ourselves. So he called a mass meeting. Everybody came to the gate of the city. And he said they made a proclamation. These people are fully good with us. And they're going to live with us. And they will do trade with us. And the land is ample room for them. As will take their daughters as wives. We're saying it to them, we'll give them our daughters. She says, Shleimim at peace and wholeheartedly. So this is a good group, they said. This is a metaphor like a person whose hand is broad and generous. In other words, we're not going to lose anything by the trading with them. For much merchandise come here from surrounding areas. There's no buyers. So therefore, this is great. You will make money. They'll make money. We'll all be happy. It's going to be a wonderful reality. There's only one problem. Everything sounds great. There's only one condition that these people want. There's only one hiccup. And that is, we have to all circumcise ourselves as they are circumcised. And every male be circumcised. After all, when they dwell with us, their livestock and their possessions, it will all belong to, we'll all gain from it. And all the animals become ours. Let us just agree to this one condition, and we'll all be happy, and we'll all be able to live together. Yishmael Chamer, he was so influential, and he was so powerful. So the entire city listened to Chamer and Shechem B'nai. All those people who were at the gates of the city, and they all circumcised themselves. Everybody that in the city, they all circumcised themselves. That shows you how few people could influence the whole city, because they're all evil. They're all part of the act. Came in the third day. The Yason cave, and when everybody was sick. Third day is the hottest day of a sickness. So also even that's the first 72 hours, and God forbid, is a very critical time. And they were very sick. So both of the sons of Yaakov, they didn't have anesthesia those days. You can imagine the pain. So the two sons of Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, took Dina, the brothers of Dina. Each took his sword. And they came to the city. They fell upon the city confidentially, with confidence, because they knew they were all sick. And they killed all the males. Rashi says, Shnei b'nei Yaakov, these were the two sons, but nevertheless, they acted like Shimon and Levi. Other people who were not a son, this was not the way Yaakov would do something. And Yaakov was shocked that they did this. But they did not seek advice. They didn't come to him first and say, come to their father and ask him if they should do this. Dina, why are they called the brothers of Dina? Because they risked their lives for her. Simply called her brothers. Betach, the people of the city were in pain. Now God explains they were confident in the power of the elder merit of Yaakov. They were not only because Even though they were in pain, I'm sure they were going to fight for their lives. But not only did they go because they were in pain, because they felt they had the merit of their father, which they did. They killed Chamer and they killed his son. They killed him by the sword. As Dina, and then they took Dina, Shechem, from the house of Shechem, and the last. The Yaakov Baal Chalolim, sons of Yaakov came to strip the slain of their possessions. By Yevoizu they plundered the entire city of Shechem, Asher Timah Achesam, on the account of the defilement of their sister. Now she said to strip the slain. They took all the flock and their cattle and their donkeys, everything that was in the city. They took the whole city. Verse 39, they grabbed all the money and they captured all the children. It's a shame. They took all the women as slaves. They plundered everything that was in the homes. Their money. Shavu, like take expression of taking captive, and therefore the accent is in the last syllable. Shavu. Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, you have taken away my peace of mind. Others to make me odious amongst the local, to put me in danger. We're living here between the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I'm a small group. And they're all going to get together if they're hearing this story, and they're going to come out against me to attack me. And my family will be wiped out. Now she says, achartem. What's the word achartem? Similar to me, mayim achurim, murky waters. Meaning, my mind is not clear now. Achartem, you have put a cloud over me. And God explains, the barrel was clear and you clouded it. There was a tradition amongst the Canaanites that they would fall into the hands of Jacob's descendants. But they said that this would not happen until they increase and occupy the land. Therefore, they kept quiet until now. But now they say, "Oh, now is a chance." So they knew that ultimately the Jews are going to take over Canaan. But they didn't. They said, "Wow, they're taking over Canaan now. They just destroyed the whole city." So you put me in danger because we're not taking over Canaan now. The same Muslim on a few people. Verse 31. So Shimon and Levi replied, should we have been allowed to treat our sister like a woman who's not protected by her family? Rashi says, Hefke, we abandoned her? We abandoned our sister. You're telling us basically we should have packed our bags and walked away and left Dina in the city. Our sister. Chapter 35, verse number 1. You don't see that Yaakov responds to this question. God says to Yaakov, oh, so you don't see that anybody came to attack them, because nobody did. Yaakov, Kum alei Beis El, get up and go to Beis El. That's where you're supposed to be headed. Yeshav Sham, go settle there. You have to, although you forgot what your journey was. Your journey was to come back to Beis El. That was the journey. You left Beis El. You made a mizbeach there. You made an altar there. You had no sacrifice. That was 22 years ago. It's time to go back where you came from. When you ran away, now she says, because you tarried on the way, you didn't fulfill your mission. You left Haran. I told you to leave Haran, and you're making all these stops. You're making in Sukkot a stop. Now you're making Shrem a stop. You're making all these stops. Why are you stopping at all these places? And these stops are bringing you headaches because you didn't go back to where you were supposed to go back. So that's why you were punished. And this trouble from your daughter befell you because you're basically tarrying. You're basically schlepping this journey. You were supposed to go back straight to Beth El. You should have done that. But you decided to go slow. Yaakov says to his family, and to everything that's with him, okay, we're going on, we're moving. Remove all the idols that you took from Shechem. Get rid of all the idols. Vitaru, and you have to go to the mikveh. And purify and change your clothes. Now she says the possession for the spoils of Shechem. Itaru, purify yourself from any idolatry you have from Shechem. Change your clothes in case you have possession of the garments of idolatry. Get rid of your all idolatry. We're going out of there. In the Kuvanala base hill, let us rise and go up to Beth El. Yes, and I'm gonna go and make a mizbeach after what I did 22 years ago. Le'el ha'oina oisi, to God who always answered to me by Eis Tzara, the day of my pain. V'yeh madi, and always was with me. B'derech asher alachti, in the way I have gone. Vayitnu el Yaakov es kol keinecha, so everybody gave to Yaakov all the gods. Asher biyadam, that they had all these idols, what they had in their hands. As a Muslim, they gave all the earrings, Hashem,'s name, that was in the ears. Vayitnu es Yaakov tachas eila, and Yaakov took all this jewelry, all this gold. People are still looking for this treasure. In Shechem, he buried this whole thing under a tree in Shechem. You can go, maybe there's a tree. Go start digging on all the trees of Shechem. You might find a great treasure there. Ha'ela min ayel sarik. This was a type of a non-fruit-bearing tree. So you know all the fruit-bearing trees is not the tree. You have to go to a non-fruit-bearing tree. In Shechem, Eitzel Shem, Netzel Shem, because he wasn't in Shechem. He was outside of Shechem. So go search for this tree. When they traveled. Chitas. Here we have the word chitas in the Torah. Chitas. Chitas elikim. Chitas means the fear of God was on Alaharim. That was the one that had his expression. That the way you start your day is with chitas, because then God will be with you. Everything they're going to go out into the world, the chitas is going to protect you. Alaharim, the fear of God was on all the surrounding cities. Asher Svisayim, all the cities that were there surrounded them. Oh, everybody was afraid of them. And nobody went after Yaakov. Yaakov said to his sons, "I'm afraid of the people." Nobody touched him. Chitas. Now she says, what means chitas? Pachad, fear. That's it. Chitas is the fear of God. Yaakov Luz, Yaakov came to Luz. It's Canaan, that was in the land of Canaan. He base El, which is Beth El. Him and all those people that was with him. And he built there an altar. El base Kel, and he called the place El, the house of God. Because over there, God revealed himself to him when he ran away from his brother. Over there, he had the dream of the ladder. She says, El base El means the Holy One, blessed be He, is in Bethel, meaning the divine presence is revealed in Bethel. Sometimes there are words that are missing in the requisite base in the prefix. Base scale is indeed in the house of like it says, indeed the house of Mach, the base mocher, which is equivalent to bib base. So really, is missing a base over there. El bib base scale. It should have said El bib base. That's what it should have really said. But we don't. So sometimes the verse doesn't say the extra base because it says God is in Beit Kel. That's the way the bib base of Yicha. It's grammar. Niglo Lakim. God revealed himself to him. There are many places the term referring to likus and adnus are written in plural. As in Yosef, mast adnei, if the owner, Bailov, was working with him, where does it say, where it does not say Bala, singular form? And similarly, the name Elikus, which denotes judgeship and authority, is mentioned in plural, Elikim. So the Elikim is a plural word. However, you will not find any other name of God in plural. So you have the 7 names of God: Adonai, like El, Yud-Kei, Vav-Kei. Elikim is the only plural one. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. Elokeinu is our God. Elikim is plural. Bereshis bara Elikim. So that's because it's judgment, because it's severity, it automatically creates a plurality. It's also a Kabbalistic spiritual concept. Thomas Devoida Menekes Rivka. And the Devoida, this woman who Rivka sent with Yaakov, she passed away. Atikava mitachla Beisel. He buried her below Bethel. Tachas ha'olan, under the plateau. Vayika Shemoy Alum Bochus, and he called it the plains of weeping. Now she says, what does the Veda come to? How does the Veda come into this whole picture? The answer is because Rebecca had said to Yaakov, I will then send you a word and bring you from there. She had sent the Veda to him, to Padan Aram, to tell him he could leave there. And she now died on the way. I learned this from the words of Ramesh Adash. So that's where the Veda comes into the picture. Mitachas Eilan, below Bethel, the city is situated on the mountain, and she was buried on the foot of the mountain. Tachas Ha'olam Unkelshati B'Shulei HaMishara, at the bottom of the plains. For there was a plain above the slope of the mountain, and the burial was below it. And the plains of Bethel are called Eilon. But in the Agada, in the Medrash, this is the interesting Medrash, because you don't see the story of the passing of Rivka. The Torah talks about the passing of Sarah and even Rachel, but it doesn't mention the passing of Rivka. So the Agada, it informs about another morning, for he was told then that his mother passed away. By the time Yaakov got back, his mother had passed already. And Eloin in Greek means another. So tachas, so he was. That's what the word over Eloin. We're talking about the tachas of Pesach, tachas alon. By Yikashmai alon, why did he call it? Why did he call the plains of weeping? Because his divider. No, he called it the plains of weeping because he found out then that his mother passed away. And that's what happened. And because the days of death was kept secret, so that people not cursed the womb who gave birth to Esau. So the question is, why Taka doesn't it say that Rivka passed away in the Torah? So one of the reasons is because the Torah didn't want to talk and say, because people were always talking about her. Look what kind of son she has, even though she had a great son, Yaakov. But people always like to talk negative and talk about her, that she had a son. Sarah had only beautiful children, wonderful son Yitzchak. Rachel only had wonderful children. Leah had wonderful children. And Rivka was only one of the matriarchs who had a son Esau. So therefore, it does not say in the Torah about her passing. God again appeared to Yaakov again on his way from Padan Aram. He's on his way still home. And he blessed him. She says a second time at that place, once when he set out on the journey and once on his return, and he blessed him. Over there, why did Eibishter bless him? He blessed him with the Minchum Avelim, because his mother passed away. That's why we do Nichum Avelim, we bless the mourner, Amokim Menachem Eschem. We give the blessing to the mourner that God should console him. And God said to him, Shimcha Yaakov. Your name is Yaakov, but Lo Yikara Shimcha Yaakov. Your name is not going to be Yaakov anymore. Kim Yisrael, your name is now going to change to the name of Yisrael. That's what the Malach told him 2 years ago before. But now the Abishtik changes his name. Yisrael, and God called him by the name of Yisrael. So having a sense of person who's come with sleeth and deceit, Zakova, Yaakov, but the name Yisrael means to be a sad and a nugget, means to be a prince and a leader. God said to him, Ani Kel Shakai, I am the Lord your God. Right, one of the names of God is Shin Dalad Yud. Kel Shakai. Pray urevei, be fruitful and increase. Goy ukahal goyim, a nation and a community of nations. Yir mimach will come from you. Umalachim and kings mechalatzecha yetzeu will be born from you. Now she says, Shakai, Shin Dalad Yud, Ani Kel Shakai, Shani Kedai Levarech. The word Shaddai is the word Kedai. For me, it's fitting. So you're having a mezuzah, Shin Dalad Yud. Since the power to provide accurate blessing is mine, Shakai, Shin Dal. I'm saying the word Dalad as a kof. So it's Shin Dalad Yud. Pray Urevei, be fruitful and increase. God gave him this blessing because Binyamin was not yet born. So God said, you're going to have another child. Even though Rachel already become pregnant with him from Yaakov, he said, you're going to have another child. He knew that he was going to have another child. Goy is Binyamin, refers to Binyamin. Goyim, but here the Eibishter said, not only are you going to have another son, you're going to have, which he knew, he's going to have another child. He told him you're going to have a son. But more than that, you're going to have actually more. You're going to have Ephraim and Manasseh. You're going to add to your tribes, which should happen later with Joseph. So you're going to add 2 tribes to your group. So you're not going to have 12 tribes. You're going to have 13 tribes. And that is, you're going to add Ephraim and Manasseh. That's going to come out of Yosef. Veheim b'minyan hashvatim, and they are counted amongst the tribes. Melachim, kings are going to come out of you. This refers to Shaul of Ishbosheth. So Shaul and Ishbosheth were the 2 kings before David HaMelech, and who were from the tribe of Binyamin, who were not yet born. And it was in this verse Avner explains, and it was the verse that Avner explains in a sense when he made Ishbosheth king. This story later, before David HaMelech became king, it was like there was a little bit of a, between the passing of Shaul and David HaMelech, they had this Ishbosheth. So the tribes also explained it so, and therefore accepted the tribe of Benjamin. As it's written, let no man amongst us give his daughter to the tribe of Benjamin. There's a whole story that ultimately happened because of this, that they in essence they decided to put the tribe of Benjamin into a chedim, into a that nobody would marry them. Excommunication. But they reconsidered, saying, if Benjamin were not counted amongst the tribe, the Holy One, blessed be, would not have given Yaakov that kings will be born from you. So therefore he said, okay, even though he grabbed the kingdom with Shaul and Ishbosheth, so the tribes were angry, like why did he grab the kingdom? It should have gone to Judah right away. But they said, listen, that's what the pasuk said. The tribes ultimately said it's wrong what we're doing. That we have excommunicated them because they're really following the pasuk, which says malach. But so therefore they brought them in. Goyu kal goyim, his sons are destined to become nations, meaning to be the same number as the nations of the world, which is 70 people. Similarly, the entire Sanhedrin consisted of 70 members. So Goyu kal goyim means that you'll have a number. They're talking about when the Jewish people came down to Mitzrayim, there were a number of 70. There were 70 souls. So those are to the 70 nations. And also there are 70 elders on the Sanhedrin, the high court. Another explanation his sons will be in the future offer sacrifice at a time when doing so, individual altar is forbidden, as nations do. And it's in time of Eliyahu and Navi. So this is the story of Eliyahu and Navi come to Goyim Kal Goyim, that they're going to do something that usually, once the base of Mikdash was built, you're not allowed to bring a sacrifice. Ber Kal Goyim, you're gonna challenge. There'll be a person, Eliyahu Navi, will stand up and challenge the nations of the world. He's going to bring a sacrifice outside of the base of Mikdash, and he's going to prove to the whole world as that the Eibishter, the God, is the God of the world. And that completes the Rashi, the Chumash for today. Beautiful Chumash for today. Okay, we go to the 6th essay of the Alter Rebbe. This is one of the beautiful, it's also a beautiful essay of the Alter Rebbe, as we can slowly come to the completion of Tanya. The last 2 essays explains how the observance of commandments seeks out the exile sparks hidden in this world, right? And thereby suffuses it with godliness. They also pointed out that the same is true in the study of the law. The present essay goes on to a step further and explains that the laws of the Torah transcend the world beyond any possible comparison. So everything has its place. And David, we find this very interesting verse in the Torah, in the Tanakh about David HaMelech, and the Gemara about it. David triumphantly brought back the ark from captivity in the hands of the Philistines. It was placed in a wagon. Story in Tanakh, in the prophets. Malachim. David had momentarily forgotten a stipulation in the Torah. So he put it in a wagon, which is oops. It was an oops. He had an oops. He had a moment of lapse of forgetting a simple verse that any 5-year-old child knows. That the ark has to be carried. Everybody who learns Chumash, we've learned it also, that you're not allowed to put the ark on a wagon. It has to be carried. Bakoseh is the open verse. Bakoseh Yiso. It has to be carried on the shoulders of the priest. He had a second mistake and he put it on a wagon. And a tragedy happened. Somebody died. Because the ark started to fall off the wagon. And somebody touched it and he passed away. And David HaMelech realized that it was his fault, that he made a mistake. So on the shoulders shall carry it, right? So that's the story. Commenting on this episode. The question is, how does David HaMelech forget? That's a shocking side. David HaMelech forgets a verse of the Torah that everybody knows. This is a great sage, a king. How is it possible, David HaMelech, to forget a pasuk? So coming to this, the sages teach that David's forgetfulness came as a punishment for him to referring to the laws of the Torah as a song. That's the Gemara. So the Gemara, the Talmud says, David HaMelech had a lapse in remembering a law because he once expressed in Tillim Zemiris. He calls the Torah a song. The Im Zemiris. Okay. So that's the reason the Gemara says, your statutes were songs for me in the place of my Torah. So why should the expression be regarded as an offense to the Gemara? So what's wrong calling the Torah as a song? And in what way is this related to that punishment that he forgot the Torah? So what's the connect? First of all, what's terrible calling the Torah a song? And number 2 is that his punishment was he forgot a simple law. These are amongst the questions discussed in this essay. And at greater length, you can look it up. There's a Maimel, Likutei Torah, and Torah, Eira Torah, and in Derech Mitzvah Secha, in Mitzvah Maseh Ha'orin. Bakosef, in that Maimel, there's an essay, Alter Rebbe, in the other Rabbeim who explained this in depth. what happened over here. But all based on this letter, on this essay of the Alter Rebbe. Okay. David, go to the Tanya. David Zmiris Kareisalu. This is the Gemara. Abish says to David Melech, David, you call them songs? You're calling my Torah a song? Because he refers to the Torah as a song, David was punished by being made to stumble in a matter that even every school child knows. And the art to be carried on the shoulders. The Abish says to him, calling the Torah a song, a chutzpah. You're calling, I'm going to make you forget something. That's the Gemara. That's the answer to the Talmud. Out there, ask a question. David HaMelech, you find it many times the Torah is called a song. In the Bezayah, you open up the book of the Zayah, you find the expression Shifcha Dairaisa V'Ranana, the praise of the Torah and its song. So the Zayah also calls the Torah a song. The Torah is a hymn and a song to God. So what's so terrible? And to understand Ma Hashvach LaKadosh Baruch Hu Yizeh Asa Mutter. So we have to understand why Taki call it a song. What is the praise to God when a particular object is forbidden or permitted? Oh, this is prohibited. A pig is not kosher. A cow is kosher. What is it? A song. A song means a shvach. A song means I'm happy. What is the happiness that a pig is not kosher? And that so Taka, why does David HaMelech call it a song? What is the song about? I heard a story yesterday about the Alter Rebbe, and his son, the Mittler Rebbe, once told him that the Chassidim are having a taina that they don't feel something, they don't feel the response to their questions from the Tanya. And the Alter Rebbe said because they're missing the other half. The Tanya has two halves. It has the knowledge, and the other half is the song. They're missing the niggin. Song is the pen of the heart. You have to know a Chassidish niggin. You have to know a Chassidic song. Sing a Chassidic song. So you have to have the knowledge and the song. Interesting story. So, what is a song? The similar concept is implicated in the verse. Magodlu masech havaya. How great are your works? Ma'oid amku machshveisecha. Your thoughts are very deep. Right? So the pasuk we say every day in davening. Why does the verse make the deed precede the thought? Magodlu masecha. How great your action is, how great, it should have said the other way. It should have said how deep your thought is and how great your action is. But the pasuk flips it. Alter Rebbe will soon explain that from an appreciation of God's work, one begins to understand the depth of his thought. Hine noida, so the Alter Rebbe says, that the fault of David HaMelech to call the Torah a song is because he's diminishing the value of the mitzvah. Because a person should know, it is known that the existence of all the upper and lower worlds is dependent on the meticulous, not only the mitzvah, the meticulousness of every mitzvah. That's why we always say you have to do a mitzvah ke'el-chasa. You have to do the mitzvah like the halacha is. That's important to learn halacha, to know the details. It's not only in the action, it's important in the detail. Mashal, for example, in carbon kosher, if the offering that a person brings in the Beis HaMikdash is kosher, nasa yichad elyon. What happens? What happens is not what happens in this world. What happens is in the upper world. Is a supernal union in the spheres are affected. And then all the worlds are elevated. lekabel chayosim v'shivasim, to receive their life force and their spiritual sustenance. Imshina. However, if you divert from the law, shekiba adam b'selah, for example, the kohen, instead of taking the blood with his right hand, took with his left hand. Took the blood, but he's supposed to take with his right hand. Took it with his left hand. He used another vessel. He didn't use the vessel of the temple. Klishad is kosher. Or let's say he was wearing a glove. According to Jewish law, the kohen is not allowed to use a glove. And you decided by mistake to use a glove. Azayin is batla is ali. So he said, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? No, in the Torah, it is a big deal. Because at that moment, that the kohen used his glove and didn't grab with his hand, his physical hand, the vessel, what happened is, you have now all the elevations of the world that would have been accomplished are nullified. And what happens? And the life force and sustenance that I would have received from the source of life, ain't safe, does not happen. And so too, what the importance of having a kosher pair of tefillin. You might say it's tefillin. A tefillin is a tefillin. No. You have to know the laws of tefillin. And there might be something that will make this tefillin not kosher. And then Mizgalim Meichel Elyon, through the person uses kosher tefillin, thereby reveals the supernal intellect of Zeir Ampin, V'Nukva, the 6 midas of Atzilus, and the Malchus Atzilus Shem Merkar HaChaim, and an infused light comes into these attributes, and into Malchus of Atzilus, and what happens? It's the source of life to all worlds. And yet through an omission of one detail in this tefillin, it's possible with Talkalamer. And it's not revealed. And so too this applies whether it's a positive commandment, whether it's a negative commandment. Every detail is important. Hilkoch. Now you understand the verse. Amizboiden. When somebody contemplates, Ma Godlu Maaseh Hashem, how great are the works of God. That in the multiple of worlds and all their hosts. Look at this vast world. Look at this vast world and everything that's in this world is nothing to one mitzvah. This whole world will not have its life and its existence without this mitzvah. Not without this mitzvah, without the dictum of this mitzvah, without the detail of this mitzvah. Kulam b'teilim emetzias. Everything is ultimately nothing. Legabi diktuk echad. In one specific requirement, b'diktuk atayda for the requirements of the one diktuk. Right, so you have a beautiful Torah, and you have one letter that is broken. The whole Torah is possible. It could be a little dot on the. It's the whole Torah is possible. No value. And that is sure machshavah. That concept, from the way I see that this world, this vast world, is nothing to a mitzvah, that is the depths of the wisdom of God. Sure. For its profundity of the supreme thought of the divine wisdom. That through the observance of a minor specification in the mitzvah, I'm doing the mitzvah, I might be missing a minor detail. But this minor detail Right? You have an ester, for example, and the pitum is broken. The top, the ester has no value. Oh, but I got a beautiful ester. No, this minor detail disqualifies the whole concept, and you might say that doesn't make any logical sense. That's the machshav that God is infinite and He's in the detail as He's in the general. There's no difference in the detail. There's no difference in the general concept also. Or the opposite. So everything happens to the detail in the positive, and everything happens in the detail in the negative. So in the case of the detail requirements of a prohibited commandment, transgression brings about God's forbidding descent of all worlds. That's the beauty of this thing. From this, we can ponder the depth, profundity of God's thought. God's thought is boundless and endless. My loss Elaine Kates, which is infinitely transcends the tachlas called Milas Chayes, the vitality of all this world. Because all this world and the beauty of this whole world all receives its vitality from God, and all receives its vitality from this detail. Which this requirement being drawn from the source of the depth of the thought of God. That specifies this detail. Shada Adam, for example, like the hair of man, which comes out from the brain. So you take mamish, the hair which we cut, everything comes out from the brain. Has brought to detail. Everything comes out from the brain. As it brought down the Zohar. Now you understand why David HaMelech called it a song. He didn't call it a Torah song. He called the song that he had in the Torah. She mezamer umerani, because he sang, and he was glad his heart. The Eisek HaTorah, in the learning of Torah, he said, "What is the Eis Harasei?" He said, "What is the whole world in comparison to the Torah?" So I'm having tzaddis, I'm having pain. But what is this whole pain in this whole world to the Torah that I'm learning? Garnished, nothing. So therefore, I'm happy. Because I'm having tzaddis, I'm having a lot of pain, I'm not having a lot of suffering. But to the Torah I'm learning, it's all null and void. So he was happy. He was overjoyed when he contemplated how the entire world is of no account relative to one minor detail in the Torah. Forget about sitting and learning Torah. One minor detail. The whole world is null and void. So how can I not be happy, even though I'm going through pain and suffering, if I'm learning Torah? That's where the Tanya is today. Beautiful. Cannot more enjoy learning Tanya. Okay, today is the 14th day of Kislev. The Tillim of the day is chapter 72 to chapter 76. My friends, if you do the Tillim, chapter 72 to chapter 76, you do Chitas. Chitas Elakim. You do the Chitas, and then you'll have a phenomenal day because the fear of God will be on everything that you do. So do your Chitas. The Rebbe writes today, Birchas Hamazon means grace after the meal. Is said over a cup of wine, even without 10 people dining together. The cup is held in the palm of the hand with fingers extended upwards. That's how you hold the cup. That's how you hold your cup of wine. Also on Friday night, you put the cup in the middle of the hand and you hold your fingers like this. That's the way it should be done. But Rabbi say Mevela benching until after the third bracha. That's Bebirchas Hamazon. You hold the cup in your hand until after the third bracha, when it's placed on the table. And one of the previous Abba Shrebbe says in one of my father's speeches, he explained a subject in which this is the core. There are tzaddik, there's a righteous man, there's a yashar, there's a tamim, and a chassid. There are four names of people that are special. A tzaddik is so called regarding his fulfillment of positive commandments. He's a tzaddik. He does everything right, thereby eliciting a revelation inherent to the created order. A yashar is called regarding his fulfillment of the negative command. He's yashar. He stays on the right road. That's a yashar. Yashar means somebody who stays in the right line. So he doesn't go past the line. A yashar, he always stays. He can walk a straight line. So that a yashar, which draws forth revelation beyond the creative order, because he doesn't bring down anything into impurities. A tamim, a man of earnestness, that's a tamim, elicits the revelation for the level of godliness at which the taste of the tree and its fruit are the same. The co-joining of the encompassing light, Sevav Kalamim, and the permeating light, Memala Kalamim, modes of divine influence. So that's a tamim, complete. That's why he's called also a tamim. He's complete. He has both worlds. The highest is a chassid. And there are three levels of a chassid. A, worldly affairs do not disturb or distract him. Every individual can, and every individual must attain this level that the world does not distract him. Number two, all his affairs are godliness. Through this level is not distant from you. It's still not within everyone's reach that everything called Masechi is Shem Shemayim. Everything that you do should be for the sake of heaven. Number C, the level described in Tikkun Zohar, who is a chassid, he who conducts himself with benevolence towards his creator, towards his nest, which means that he seeks to unite the Holy One, blessed be He, with his Shekhinah, bring unity between God and the world, with those who dwell in the lower worlds, not merely to quench the thirst of his own soul, but to do what the Eibishter wants to accomplish in the world. And that's a chassid. A chassid who's benevolent to God, meaning he doesn't do things to rectify only himself. He does things because that's his mission in the world. That's what God wants from him in this world. God bless you all. I want to invite you all at 10 o'clock in an hour. We're going to have a beautiful Sikha of the Rebbe. 10 o'clock, come to Chabad or Zoom. You can come. I mentioned tonight we continue to learn the laws of charity. It's a phenomenal class, Halacha New at 7 o'clock. You can come and learn Halacha, detail, and it's very details, into the detail, minor detail of this law. So come and learn some Torah. Wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day. We'll see you all tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We'll continue to learn the Chitas of the day. Have a wonderful, beautiful